an ever-changing world, Off Hollywood Media presents a voice of truth and inspiration, resonating a vibration of love and understanding, illuminating new paths for new directions, as we, as one, strive for higher and higher levels of consciousness, always remembering life changes. And now, your host, our MC, our master of change, Filippo Voltaggio.
Well, here we are again for another edition of Life Changes with Filippo. And yes, I have wet hair again, on the air with wet hair again. Well, this time I have another excuse that I think works just as well. We've had a time change. See, last week we didn't tape the show on video, and I was ready an hour before with my hair done really great and everything. But our guest was Mariel Hemingway, and happily so. But she wasn't able to make it into the studio. As a matter of fact, she wasn't even able to make it anywhere. That she had to end up calling us on the cell phone because she couldn't make it home in time or here in time for us to do the show from either here or a regular phone. So that's how that happened. So I was ready. But this week, I would have been an hour ready, except we had a time change. And so here we are. I got wet hair. So what? Who cares? Anyway, our guest today is Jake Kloberdanz, and he is the CEO of One Hope Wine and One Hope, the company in general. So can't wait to talk about him because he's got a really interesting concept about business. They give 50% of their profit away to charity, 50%. So can't wait to talk to him because this is a whole new paradigm, a way of doing things. Maybe this is a wave of the future. For those of you who are wondering, okay, so we're on video again, so you're able to see me, because 2 weeks ago or last week I said I was starting this diet thing and I was taking this drink, and I actually said how much I weighed. I think I said I weighed 198.6, if I remember correctly. And I weighed myself this morning because I knew we were doing the show, and I weigh 188.8. Now, that's 0.2 away from 4 pounds. Now, I haven't really, I've not been well, and I haven't been exercising, and I haven't been eating right, and I haven't been sleeping right. So there are all these factors, good and bad, that would make me gain weight or lose weight, but I don't know. I still lost 4 pounds, and I've been taking 2 ounces of this thing called, I don't know what it's called, but it's U.S. aloe. And the guy that heard me on the show complaining about the way I look said to me, hey, you got to take this stuff, 2 ounces a day. So I've been taking 2 ounces a day of it, and maybe it's been curbing my appetite. I actually think maybe the aloe has been actually make me feel better because it's mainly aloe, and then it's got other things in there to make you lose weight and to help curb your appetite. So I think it's working, and I'm feeling good about it. So anyway, because I told the guy that, I don't know, there are a lot of products, people are always trying to sell me something or sell me on something, and so I said, let me try it, and so I've lost 4 pounds, so what can I say? So we put them up on our front page as a sponsor while I'm doing this, and then on our sponsor page, we actually put up a deal that he's offering, saying it's like, you get $100 worth of the stuff for just shipping and handling of $14.99, $14.95 or whatever it is, something like that. But it's all there. It's on our website, on our sponsor page, and learn more about it. And I'll tell you more about it when I tell you how much I weigh next Monday. And if I weigh a lot less, then I'll tell you a lot more about it. And if I don't weigh a lot less, then we'll just talk about it a little bit, or not at all. In any event, so that's that. It's interesting because life changes never stops, and that's kind of the whole premise of life changes, because if there's one constant we can count on, it's life changes. So, ironically, that's kind of why the show started, because life was changing, and sometimes too fast, and sometimes ununderstandably or what's that word? I don't know. Not understandably or not understanding how or why or what to do with the changes. So we have this show where there are people that work with changes, or people that help other people change, or people that have changed so much that they're sharing their changes and how it worked for them and that kind of thing. So I, of course, being a life coach and blah, 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 and yada, yada, I've been helping people. People have been helping me. I've been studying and learning about all this stuff. And this weekend, it's interesting because I had a cousin call me to tell me how his relationship with his wife was really awful, and how, in his opinion, that's what relationships are, full of problems. And I had another friend the same weekend call me to tell me that the relationship with his wife was really awful too, and that's what relationships are, full of problems. And, and actually a third, by the second or third friend, maybe there's something in the air, I don't know. The time changed. That's it. The time changed, and it screwed up everybody's hair, and everybody's having a bad hair day, and relationships are going haywire all over the place, hair wire all over the place. I don't know what it is, but seemed to be a relationship kind of weekend where people were having trouble with their relationships. So by the second or third person that was telling me that relationships are nothing but problems, or a lot of problems, I started to try and come up with a theory as to maybe how we deal with the changes, how we deal with the problems. I think one of the ways to deal with them is not to call them problems, because usually problems are problems, and they come with this baggage and history. We got problems, and you usually attribute it give it such weight. The other thing too is that problems need to be solved. Well, maybe in relationships something doesn't need to be solved. Maybe something needs to grow. Maybe something needs to be understood. Maybe something needs to be expanded. Maybe it's an opportunity. And I'm not saying just when two people have an argument, everybody should say, hey, this is an opportunity, but maybe it is. And so I was trying to convince this one friend, and it wasn't really working, that in a relationship, maybe the premise of besides changing the word problem, maybe the premise of where you start, start, if you can be sane enough to start the argument and say, well, what do we really want? If we're going to argue, let's argue. Hopefully we're not going to throw dishes and punches and stuff like that. But if we're going to argue, what's the premise at the end? What do we want? Do you want to be understood? Do you want a divorce? And who are we? I mean, do we still love each other? Because if there's love, I think that, and you recognize that at the beginning, I think it changes the argument. Maybe it becomes more of a conversation. Maybe you relate more because you say, okay, I love you, you love me, and I didn't put the cap on the toothpaste, and I don't think I should, and you think I should, and we'll argue about it in about 30 seconds. But in the meantime, I want you to remember, before we do this, that I really love you, and here we go. Ready? Then duke it out. I don't know. I mean, certainly I've been in enough relationships with enough, I will say this, problems. But that's how I looked at them then. And I didn't know how to handle them better then. And I didn't have this little trick, so to speak. And my thinking is kind of the reverse of how people call each other negative names. Black people call each other the N-word or something, and it's okay because they understand what they mean, but if somebody else does it, it's not. Or being Italian-American, Italians call each other other words, but if somebody else did it, it would be offensive, it would be stereotyping, right? Well, it comes from a premise of we're like-minded, we know what we mean, and we're coming from love, so to speak, even if we say bad words. So we call our friends derogatory names and say derogatory words to them, but we don't argue about it. So why is it that we use those same words in an argument, especially in a relationship, and all of a sudden it's bad? Because the premise where we come from is, I'm so mad at you, I'm going to hurt you right now. And like this friend of mine said about his wife, fuck her. Well, I guess I can say that. And I'm thinking, fuck her? You married her because you love her, and you're probably going to love her tomorrow and have makeup sex like we talked about in a previous show. But fuck her right now, it just seems like, I don't know, it's just like, where are you coming from? You could say, I just don't understand where she's coming from, or I don't know why she has to do this, it hurts me, whatever, but fuck her. So I'm figuring this out. A lot of people are trying to figure this out. But I think if we start from a premise of love, let's not forget who we are to each other and who we'll be an hour from now. It's kind of like, you get upset and you wreck your home, then you're not upset anymore, and your home's a wreck. You got to go clean it up and fix it and pay all that money or spend all that time. Why take it out on the home? Why take it out on the wife or the husband? I don't know. There's just a thought. I don't know. And it's interesting because our guest today, in his bio, talks about his parents and their relationship and how special that was and how that helped him in his life. So interesting how this all ties in. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I know that. And maybe you do. So if you want to send some video responses as to what you do in your arguments, in your relationships, or what your family has done, or what people have done that works, then great. Don't you like this informal? Here, this is, here, there you go. This is for you. Let's block his face. It doesn't matter. He's got wet hair. In any event, well, before we move on to our guests, I want to remind everybody that you're listening to me, Filippo, on Life Changes with Filippo, and you can learn more about us at www.lifechanges.ws. And go ahead, Jake, and sit down. Our guest today is Jake Kloberdanz. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Jake. This is interesting because I love his bio. It has a little bit of everything and a little bit of everything for everybody. He's this well-rounded guy, and you can see him. Jake Kloberdanz is a Bay Area native, and to us that means Bay Area. To us in California, that means like San Francisco area, Northern California, native who grew up in Fremont, which is San Francisco area, Northern California. And he now resides in Manhattan Beach, which is water again, in Southern California. So he's a water kind of guy, I guess. He lives close to many of his best college buddies from UC Berkeley. Now, while in college, Jake played football and rugby for the Cal Bears and was an extremely active member in the Alpha Beta chapter of Sigma Chi. Chi, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I read Greek. Jake took a job in wine sales with the leading company in the industry, while also founding a technology company with 4 of his best friends from college named The Scene. Interesting. Technology named The Scene. Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds more like a club thing. Mm-hmm. Jake has an older and younger sister that he loves more than anything in the world. His parents, Jane and Frank, have been married for over 30 years and have been his role models in teaching him the value of, here it goes, what we were talking about earlier, commitment, integrity, discipline, and hard work. His greatest passion in life is serving as the Chief Executive Officer of One Hope, a lifestyle brand whose mission is to donate 50% of profits for each brand in their portfolio. The cornerstone product of the One Hope brand is wine. Can't wait to talk about that. Currently, One Hope wine consists of 5 award-winning varietals that go towards 5 worthy causes. The goal of the One Hope brand is about raising awareness just as much as it is about raising money. Well, let's raise some awareness and let's raise some money by welcoming Jake Kloberdanz to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Good to have you. Good to be here.
You're wearing a hat with you. I just caught that. It's okay. That happens all the time. Like you're on the phone with somebody working on your flight schedule, and then they say, "Have a nice flight," and you say, "You too."
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, they're not flying with me, but maybe they are, and they really appreciated it.
Yeah.
So
anyway, you've got the logo on your hat.
Yes.
And I recognize that as the One Hope logo. Actually, You're wearing a bracelet too.
Yes.
So ribbons and
circles. That's a One Hope bracelet.
Okay,
as well.
so that's. What's all that?
That's our logo. So the circle ribbon is kind of the cornerstone of our logo. It's One Hope. The O in the word hope is that circle ribbon. So that's,
clever.
That's our trademark, and you'll see it in all of our branding and all of our logos.
You actually also have different color logos and ribbons and all that?
Sure. We we have our 5 different wines. Each of them go towards a different cause. So we'll have Chardonnay that goes towards breast cancer, Merlot AIDS, Cabernet autism, Zin the troops, and then Sauv Blanc the environment.
Wow.
And so we associate a different color with each of those different causes. So Chardonnay, for instance, and breast cancer, many people know, is the pink ribbon. AIDS would be the red ribbon, and so on and so forth. So
okay, well, actually, we weren't going to start there, but I just noticed the logo on your hat, and that's pretty cool. So
where is it? There you go. I'll make sure I get a little.
Everybody see that. Okay, so. One hope. Oh, well, let's start. It's interesting. You're this well-rounded kind of guy. I mean, football and jock kind of guy and frat, and then you were also in government, school government, and all of that. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of like 2 ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
Isn't it normally?
Yeah, in some regards, I have friends that are all over the map. I was a nerdy jock through high school, in the fact that I happened to be pretty athletic and I was a nerd. So
okay.
I've never associated myself with being a jock or being with a particular type of group. I'm just extremely active, and whether that's in local community, local sports, local whatever, and then. So yeah, I've just kind of jumped into a lot of different things in my life. I tell people I've never been able to like focus on one thing because I get excited by a lot of things. One Hope's kind of that first thing in my life that I found that is just so consistent. Every day I wake up thinking about it as the number one thing, and it's been that way since I started. So
interesting. Well, yeah, extremely active is an understatement. You've put in already, since 2001, over 5,000 volunteer hours. Mm-hmm. And that's beside the work that you do, which helps charities through One Hope. You're the youngest nominee for San Francisco's Man of the Year. You have founded and helped build 3 additional companies since the start of college. Let's see. You've raised millions of dollars in the past 4 years alone for charities. You were honored to fly on the Medal of Honor flight with the surviving Medal of Honor winners, where you got to meet Barack Obama, a 3-year scholar athlete at UC Berkeley, the 2-time national champion rugby player and Division I football player. I mean, and you sleep on occasion.
Yeah, what you'll notice about all of this is...
And you're 22, right?
I'm 26. You're 26, so...
I was kidding, but that's bad.
Okay.
That's still bad. Or very good, actually.
At 22, I looked about the same, though. Maybe a little older. All of those... what you start to notice if you look over kind of my bio in a snapshot is almost all of my achievements are team achievements in one way or another, whether it's in the sports that you talked about or just our company in general. Because of the position that I happen to be in our company, I get to do some of the really cool stuff, meet different figureheads and things like that, and work with particularly really cool people who are doing awesome stuff in the charitable world. But to get to that point, there's a big group behind it, with our organization. But yeah, that's how I sleep. I have really good and talented people around me as well that are helping.
Yeah, you seem to me the kind of guy that would give credit to everybody, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, it's the truth. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I have never read a bio of somebody that gives credit to their family, and interestingly enough, I immediately connected with that because on my very first CD, I attributed my ability to do what I did on that CD and sing the songs that I did, etc., to my parents, and wrote that on the liner notes. And, it was actually all about them on the liner notes. And I thought, this is really cool on the bio. And people asked me at the time, why would you do that? You're coming out as a singer. It's about you. I'm like, you just don't understand. Mm-hmm. So I had to read that part. So tell me, why would you do that? Because I understand. Some other people might not.
Because all the opportunity I've been given to this point starts with them, and a foundation that I was given by them, both in my perspective and outlook on the human race, all the way to my perspective and outlook on the business world. And, from your childhood, you grow a lot of your tendencies in your early years, and a large percentage of that is a few major icons, but teachers, friends, but your parents more so than anybody, as long as they're somebody who's really involved in your life, which my parents were. So that not too much has changed with me since 13. I developed most of my tendencies and my outlook on life and everything, and you continue to refine it, but that base was given to me by them, and then also support. And you don't get the opportunity to go out and be an entrepreneur like I am, and much more so be an entrepreneur for something you love over something that's just dollars and cents oriented, unless you have a family that's behind you, because there are some rough days, a lot of rough days, rough weeks once in a while, and so that's why that's a big part of it. And then relationships to me are pretty much everything. That's everything that businesses are built off of, and it's everything that life's built off of,
Well, you're doing something right, because talk about relationships. You and I have not had the chance to meet up until now, but we have a few friends in common. Mm-hmm. One very important one, our producer, Mark Lejour, who mm-hmm. introduced you to us and brought you here to the show. And everybody that's talked about you, it's like, what a really great guy. I'm like, a really great guy. Stacy, mean, we have a lot of people in common, so, or friends in common. So that's the one thing people really hear. But sometimes that's said about people that are kind of like not doing anything. He's like, oh, but he's a really great guy. But this is about a guy who's, and you're doing all this stuff. So how does that feel?
I'm humbled by it. I appreciate it. It especially feels good when it's from people who you respect a lot, So yeah, I mean, the particular connection with Mark is a good fit. It's somebody who, if they deem you worthy, that's a good step in the right direction,
He's not here today, so we could talk about him, actually.
Yeah, all right, well then, let's really dig into it here.
He's a really good guy, too, actually. But,
yeah. No.
All right, so you're trying to tell me that you're kind of the unlikely hero, like coming in football and that kind of thing, because you were a nerd, and I don't care for that word, because sometimes that was used for me too, and I would shy away from. I wouldn't say that now, but here you are saying that, so you're making me think like I have something to forgive here, to let go of. Well, how are you able to say that and be confident about yourself? It's semantics is really, you could call me a dork, or really interested in your education, is a more positive way to say it. But, I frankly flip that word around. I think nerdiness is something cool, for not only for a lot of, women or people that you're trying to date. I think it's also, I put it along with, my drive to be interested in stuff that's generally deemed by society as being nerdy, but it's still pretty cool, because nerds have created the coolest brands and the coolest inventions and things like that, and I'd throw a lot of them into that pile. I always told people, thank gosh I wasn't the most popular kid in like 7th grade, because you know who that kid was, or thank God. I wasn't?
Yeah.
I wasn't? I'm glad I wasn't?
Yeah, you weren't, because you don't want to peak in like 7th or 8th grade, right? So, and you can look back at who was big time in junior high and stuff like that, or even in elementary school, and you're like, I wonder what that kid's up to, and generally it's kind of things have caught up with each other, So
interesting.
I had an interesting childhood growing up. I was very interested in like math and a lot of things that some kids are interested in, but not that many. And I was conscious of the fact that I was a little different than them. And the day that I started embracing that was a good day for me. So
Really, did that happen young, or?
I think at actually very young for knowing that you're a little bit different than like the average kids or the cool kids or whatever. I knew that I wasn't cool per se, but I knew what it took to get there too, and I was aware of it probably in like third or fourth grade, where you're not usually, if you're not the coolest kid, it's because you don't really, you've never really cared about it or whatever else. But I was just very aware of my social surroundings at a young age. Yeah.
And you've become so cool. You're somewhat of a hero in so many ways, which is interesting because on the funny side of this, you're giving people a reason, like, I'm drinking because I'm saving people out there. I'm my money is going to charities. I can drink this wine, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And yet it's serious. You really are helping people out there, and you become this cool guy who's doing this cool thing, and so many people are looking at you, celebrities or whatever, are saying, "Wait a minute, that's cool." And not only that, but business people, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So let's talk about this coolness around the drinking wine for charity.
Yeah, it's not even just the wine, but wine's a great microcosm of where we're headed with One Hope. The fact it's really the idea of doing something that is fun or part of your life and a normal experience with working in a cause behind it and making that a lifestyle rather than just a something that feels like effort or something that is associated with I got to do my volunteer hours or whatever else. It's taking a new perspective to raising funds. It's taking
like
a new
organic
perspective.
part of your life.
It's we don't want to supply a wine where you go and buy it at a overpriced compared to what you would get it normally. We want to deliver a good product at a good value, which is a nice brand. But by the way, on top of that, the brand also stands for this, and there's a piece of culture to a person who supports the One Hope lifestyle of wine is when I make my wine purchase, if it's between One Hope and another wine that's I consider equally as good and same price point, then I'm going to make a choice to make a difference, and doing that is something that consumers are starting to demand. They're starting to say, well, if you're going to, there's so many causes out there, how are you going to fight for my dollars? That's my vote, that your cause is important. And we as businesses have to be savvy about, how you get people to choose your product just as much as a nonprofit or a cause has to say, like, this is an important cause, like, talk about it. Get involved in it, donate towards it. And doing that in the form of wine is just a really fun, sexy way to do it.
So cool. So, it's very clever.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know where this idea came from. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody that we're on Life Changes with Filippo, and you can learn more about us at www.lifechanges.ws, and that we're talking right now to Jake Kloberdanz, who is the CEO of One Hope Wine, and you can learn more about him at our website, lifechanges.ws, and you can actually, onehopewine.com is the website for Jake's company, and you'll also be able to see the video up on YouTube and eventually up on our website as well. But all our information about this show will be up there.
And we're really handsome, too, so you guys are going to want to tune in and check this out.
I'm glad you said that, because I didn't want to, say it. But,
yeah, we are two pretty good-looking guys. What can I say?
So where did this come from? And we both started out as nerds. I can say that now. Thank you so much.
You bet. Good high five.
I'm proud. Where does this come from?
So tracking back of how One Hope came to be, it started out when I was in the grocery stores, stocking shelves, typical stuff you do as a wine sales rep, starting out in the trenches. I was starting to see cause marketing coming up, so I'd see that companies that were pairing up with a nonprofit, which is called cause marketing, a mutually beneficial relationship between a for-profit and a nonprofit. You increase sales, and a percentage of that increased sales goes back towards the charity. I loved that people were doing that, and then I had this kind of light go off. Well, I'd like to create a brand that does that all year round, because it seems like a lot of people are reacting to it. Not only the buyers who are putting the product in good places and end caps and so on and so forth, but consumers were purchasing. So, but more than a cause marketing campaign, which is a temporary marketing campaign, I wanted to create a brand about this. That was in October of 2005. And then about 6 months later, I was where most people are once they come up with a good idea. I had done nothing, and a good girlfriend of mine from high school had called me and told me that she got Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. So blood cancer at 23, and that was a wake-up call to me, like, whoa, cancer is something that's going to touch, everybody at some point. I'm young, and I have friends that are now affected by it. And from the same token, it was also just a spark for me to say, I'm going to start this tomorrow. And that's what I did. I went home and I started on April 18th of 2006. The day after that, I was back with her to talk to her about what she was going to be going through. I incorporated it, and then June of 2007 is the first time we really got a team behind it and everything. I was just doing kind of small scale, starting to work on the licenses and everything like that. And now we're where we are. And so that was the spark. And now where we are is we came from Hope Wine to One Hope, and the goal of One Hope is such a bigger vision than it started out with Hope Wine. Hope Wine was, I'm going to go sell a wine that I'm inspired about because people who I know are touched by these causes, and it inspires me to sell a product. One Hope's now about, it really stands for a culture of working hard for yourself and for your own individual results, and working just as hard for the greater good, and that kind of hybrid of a concept. That's both are possible.
So I'm thinking two things. Number one, it's good wine. It's not like, hey, we're going to sell cheap wine and sell it at the prices of the other wines and then just use that profit for good things. It's actually wine that you would buy at that price.
Yep. And that's the main thing, is we're building a sustainable brand on its own. If you didn't know that, it was going to charity. It looks great packaging, great look. Yes. We're rolling out a formal relationship with the Mondavi family.
I heard that. Quarter. Congratulations. That's
Thank
exciting.
You. And so Rob Mondavi Jr. will be making our wine. So that's the quality of the wine. So you've got all these things playing a part as the legitimate charities that were able to help out, good quality wine, a good value price point, and that's a winner, So.
And it's interesting. It's really appropriate that we started the show by really getting to know you and asking you the questions about where you come from in this, and establishing that personality, because, like you said, the legitimate charities, you really care about the charities, and you scrutinize them, and you make sure that the money's going to where they say they're going, and then you care about being involved in what they do and what the money's doing.
Yep.
And that's part of the culture that you're talking about.
Exactly. The way our company is structured is different than most for-profits that have a lot of times a branch of their company that's the foundation or charitable arm of their company. The central focal point of our company is the One Hope Foundation, and then the for-profit entities kind of line up around it, and all help filter in. And each of our subsidiary projects, whether it's technology or wine or any of these, the main mission is to first and foremost serve the community and the One Hope Foundation. So it's a different way to go into a technology project, and build a piece of software when that's your long-term vision and the goal of it. And our concept's like, the more we're able to give to the foundation, it means we're being successful at what we're doing, And so it's really a motivational factor in what we do.
So when you're out there trying to either raise money or get people to take you seriously, did anybody? You said it was hard at times. So was anybody telling you, 50%? Come on. 20 maybe. 10, 30, but 50? Are you crazy?
everybody was telling me that, towards the beginning. There's a lot of naysayers who are just like, huh. But when you really start to break it down, it's like, if the cost benefit of doing that makes you grow 2 times as fast, and people are 2 times as supportive, your people who work with you are 2 times as inspired about your brand, and buyers, are 2 times more likely to care about your brand, then all those things combined, that's a, break even cost benefit. And if they're even more than 2 times as likely and it grows more than 2 times as fast, then it's worth it from a business perspective as well.
Right.
And then on the intrinsic side, like that, the intangibles, it's even more than that. It's like, why work for something that you don't care about anyways? So there's 2 parts to it, and both of them work out, and investors have started to see how fast we've been growing, and people, supporters and things like that as well. So there's we've made a lot of believers out of the concept of giving back is good business,
Well, I was in a business meeting a month or 2 ago, and somebody said that they were doing this project, this, and one day we'd like to grow and do like One Hope is doing. And I thought, this is interesting. Talk about culture within your company. You're inspiring a culture outside of your company for other companies.
Really? Somebody said that?
Somebody did say that.
That's cool.
What, you think I'm lying here?
No. It's just it's a really cool thing when you hear that. For me,
yeah, well,
it's a big deal for me.
So how does it feel? I mean, is there like a culture that's starting? Do you think this is a trend? Do you think this is a fad? You hope others start doing this, or what do you?
I definitely think it's a trend, whether it's a sustainable trend, which is what we really want here, right? Is we want to prove that this is a long-term, something positive for the long term, both from businesses and the community and just the overall what we see come out of it. Yes, One Hope's about something so much bigger now. Our goal is to inspire other companies to get involved. 1, inspire them. 2, empower them if they want to work with us. And that's a big part of our business now, is looking to consult other businesses and license our brand with the right companies. And that's kind of an area we're pushing into in this year, because so many companies are starting to buy into it. The best way to see that this is trending is with the Haiti relief, the outpour. Now, whether that sustains or not, we'll see. But what you saw from that, and is a good sign, is that American businesses and people and everybody generally more and more are starting to react very quickly when things like that come up. They're called to action, and that's a good sign. I've never seen anything that rivaled that as far as activism and people stepping up and just media attention and everything like that. And some of it's for unpure reasons, but nonetheless, the pure volume of it is a really good trend, So
that is really exciting. Well, talk about trends. Listen to this growing trend. You've gotten One Hope wine into American Airlines, Costco, Whole Foods, Albertsons, Ralph's, Fresh and Easy, and we don't need to mention all the others. So that's the company. By the way, I didn't mention at the beginning, you're Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year, Orange County's Top 40 Under 40, and I guess last year, Business Week's Top 25 Under 25.
Yeah.
Because you're 26 now. Only 26. Well, you're only 26, so what do we have to look forward to when you're like 27 maybe? No, I mean, but what do you see happening here? Are you adding other products? What are you looking to do?
Our goal is to develop a few parts of our business. So one would be the consumer product side, and continuing to develop into other industries coming in, maybe not next year, but in the years to come.
So wine is the mainstay at the moment?
Yeah, wine's the mainstay on the product side. Consulting and licensing, the possibility of some other things, and there's always a lot of stuff going on in the background, and whether a deal comes on that area, we'll see in the coming year. And then building technology is really the biggest push. New push for our company. We have a very, very talented group of developers and just in general, a technology team who can build custom software and quite a bit of other stuff, have a very, very good understanding of social media and so on. And we are building custom technology not only for the wine world and the way that e-commerce and direct-to-consumer sales is done, but also transitioning that over to our own custom community, My One Hope, which we're developing right now, which gives each individual the ability to fundraise for their cause of choice, whether it's by selling product and wine or by just raising donations for their cause. And that's part of our marketing platform, is going to be developing software that the nonprofit world can use. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's excellent.
Yeah. So there's those other areas, and then the major part I'd like to push in the coming years is just continually evaluating our success based on what we're able to give. And obviously the whole point of this is to ramp up our ability to donate in dollars and in awareness and in time to a lot of causes out there, because everybody knows that there's more than enough that need to be served, So.
You're an inspiration. The company is exciting and inspiring for other companies, as we were talking about. And also, to be so young and to be making this kind of a change and to be starting such a trend. What do you have to say to other nerds or jocks, people out there that are young
people on YouTube that are watching?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the audience.
Yeah, exactly. The young people that are out there looking at this daunting problem, so to speak, of the world ahead of us. And here's one guy who has made this change over here. Now, they could say, well, sure, wine's easy or something. We can make all the excuses, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
So what about these kids? What would you say to them? Because you're real close to it. Mm-hmm. You're right there.
There's a number of things, and I like to be as direct as possible. I was looking at these. This can sum it up, actually. All of your different photo frames. Imagine, dream, love, hope, inspire. Yeah. Do all of it, but most of all, just get active and get at it. That's the hardest part for most people, is once you imagine, once you dream, once you love, once you hope, once you inspire, all these things, and you start wrapping your head around it. The step that a lot of people get stuck on is getting started, and that's it. As long as you have those things, there's no direction that you're going to run that's wrong. You might go sideways sometimes, you might stand still, you might take small steps forward, but as long as you have those things, you're not going to take steps backwards. And that's what I tell people. I say just keep taking steps forwards, no matter how big or small, or even if you have to pause once in a while. So that's it. I mean, getting started is what I always start off conversations with college kids or younger kids when I speak to them. So
yeah, I have to tell you, I'm thrilled and I'm excited because I was at Trader Joe's, and it's a grocery store. A lot of people might know it, and this kid couldn't have been more than 22, 25 maybe. He works there and hands me this little note saying that he's doing massages on the side for $25, and all the money he makes is he's going to send to Haiti. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, you work at Trader Joe's, you can't be making more than $6, $7, $8, maybe $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And you look like you're a student. I know he's a student because I talked to him afterwards. And
mm-hmm.
and you need money, and you're gonna work for an hour, make $25, and send that to Haiti. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, what's the world coming to? In the sense that maybe the world is coming to a great place.
Yeah, I think so. I think that a big part of of that is technology, like the communication, the ability for me to sit face to face with somebody in the Middle East or in another country is a whole new advent, because it's different to hate somebody or not care about somebody when you can't look them in the eye or hear them talk or anything like that. But we're doing this over voice over IP right now on Skype, seeing loud and clearly to everybody from right here. That's a whole new level of communication, and that's really what what I think is causing the shift and why I'm prepared for it to be able to actually happen is because when communications increased, understanding of other people's perceptions of the world increases. And as Max Weber, one of the great political scientists, perception is reality. And with people understanding other people's realities, it makes things a little more clear. Doesn't necessarily make it a smooth ride, but at least it makes their perception clear, you know?
Well, I saw you have a quote by Gandhi on your bio. I think you might want to share.
What be the change you want to see in the world?
Yeah,
and it's funny because we
Dorothy Lee has it, and we had it on our website for a long time. Yeah, it's interesting. We all kind of connected.
Yeah, she just mentioned it outside, and I I didn't say anything because it's not like it's not one of the greatest clips or one of the greatest men of all time and written about, but. Nonetheless, I said it's funny that it came up again because we were just talking out there. So
it's coming up because you are being the change. You're a real guy.
Yeah,
I mean you're for real. I mean,
other than the Ferrari that I parked out in front, I don't know if you saw it. It's
I didn't see it.
Hot red Ferrari, brand
really?
new. Yeah, so I usually drive the Bentley, but no, I am a real guy. We were talking about that too. That's why I threw that joke in there because I drive a kind of a beat-up old truck. And it's funny because I go to a lot of A-list events nowadays, and I still cruise my truck there. It's not beat up, I wouldn't say, but it doesn't look like your typical car showing up for something hot.
You are for real. This is really exciting. I couldn't wait for this interview, and of course everybody told me that that I'd like you, but of course I didn't believe them. And then I read your bio, and no, I'm kidding. And here you are, all these things that you've done, all the things that you're going to do. Any way we can support you, we're there. And thank you for being on the show. Is there anything you'd like to say other than you can buy One Hope wine at all those stores that we mentioned and many more soon. Mm-hmm. And you can go to onehopewine.com. You can also go to our website, lifechanges.ws, and learn more. What would you like to close with?
Yeah, as a small detail, when they go to the site, if they put in their zip code, they'll be able to find where it's carried in a place near them. There's a where to buy section, and because some of the stores it'll go in and out and stuff. And then other than that, I mean, great show. I think that this is the fact that people are able to get on and voice opinion or positive content and things like that is also a big mark of technology and where we are today. Some of it's being used for very positive reasons, and the freedom of speech is a whole nother cause that I believe in very strongly, and particularly people not abusing it, and I think this is a good mark of it. So I'm excited about what you guys are doing here. Hopefully it's creating a movement in this world of media as well, and it's something that I'm very conscious of, and I think paths will converge again later on.
Absolutely, we'll be connecting, but stick around before you go, and we'll be done here in about 10 minutes. But before you go, I want a picture so that at 34, when you're president of the United States, I want to be able to say I knew him when he was 26.
Yeah. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah,
that's Jake Kloberdanz, of CEO of One Hope Wine and One Hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So with that, gosh, this show is getting more and more exciting. Our next week's show is featuring a 14-year-old who has a multi-billion-dollar company. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wasn't trying to show you up, Jake. It was supposed. Yeah, you're right. That was supposed to be a joke. And all right, but in any event, we've got Dorothy Lee with the State of the Universe address. But Dorothy, after an interview like that, I would say the universe might be in pretty good shape.
It really is. And
we might make it after all.
I know we're going to. I received an interesting email the other day and want to share parts of it with our audience tonight. So we're going to talk some more about love. The question that Nanice Ellis, the author of the email article, asked is this: are you ready to expand your experience of pure love? Before we can expand our experience of pure love, we would have to look at the words and at our experiences of what we think love is and find a definition for pure love. Well, she defines it this way: an overabundance of self-love that spontaneously flows out to others and continues to effortlessly replenish itself. This definition begs the question, how many of us have ever really truly experienced pure love? How many have experienced love, or true love at all? How many of us can honestly say that we love ourselves just as we are, right here and right now? When someone comes to have a session with me, I send them a questionnaire, and one of the most important questions is this: who do you love and who loves you? It's very interesting because the majority of people leave themselves out of the answer. They love their cats and their dogs, and their cats and dogs love them, and all of the regular people. But when I say, did you just forget to add you? Do you really love you? They usually say, no, I'm trying to, or no, I'm bad. And I ask them, how did they know that? And they say it's because they were taught that. And we've also been taught that loving ourselves is very, very selfish. And it isn't. In fact, it's vital to our happiness. And we will never experience pure love until we remember to love ourselves first. When I was young, I was taught that I was bad and wrong. For example, I'm a medium, and I have talked to people after they've passed over, or better yet, they talked to me. And as I was a child, when someone passed to the other side, and I'd tell Mom and Dad or my aunts and my uncles that Grandma had this to say, I would be punished for it because they didn't know anything about life after death. In their minds, once you died, that was it. So it's been very, very interesting. And then I had these other friends that no one could see. There was the man named Jesus. There was Buddha. And there were these archangels. And I would tell Mom and Dad and my friends about the people from far, far away who would visit me. And they would punish me because they didn't want other people to think that I was weird. Were they loving me when they did this? Of course they were. They had been taught by their mom and dad, who had been taught by their mom and dad, who had been taught by their mom and dad, that this is love, keeping your child from being different, making sure that your child fits in. They really had been told, it was interesting because they'd been told that I wasn't going to be normal. And there's some people that I know right now that would probably believe in that diagnosis today. However, I live a good, wonderful life, and especially wonderful now that I have decided to love me. I really bought into that I was a bad girl. And I know that we don't need to buy into this anymore, into labels. They didn't think I was really bad or wrong or stupid. They just wanted to make sure that I got along with the rest of the world. I've learned that we choose our parents and we choose our siblings and we choose many of the people who are going to dance this dance called life with us. And it's a wonderful thing. And they choose to accept our invitation because they truly, purely love us. However, what most people call pure love is usually anything but that. So let's know that pure love begins, as she says, with loving ourselves first. And how do we do that? We just have to take the time to understand that we are love. We are God. God is love. And Nani says that pure love can only be expressed through love that has no filters and needs nothing in return. If love is expressed through fear, jealousy, scarcity, or any type of need or expectation, it's not the true essence of love. It's a mere shadow of what it is meant to be. Pure love can only be expressed through a clear channel. The step to becoming a pure channel is to do whatever is necessary to love ourselves, forgive ourselves for those choices that were less than elegant. Unless and until we are able to do that, we will never experience pure love. We have come here just to experience love, to be love, and to share it. It took me years to learn to love myself. My good friend Archangel Michael told me the last time I had a near-death experience that I must return to Earth and complete my mission and purpose. I cried and begged him not to make me come back. I was in so much mental, physical, and emotional pain, and he told me this: the pain you are feeling is the love you are withholding. I was quite pissed at him and reminded him that he had told me that I had a heart big enough to heal the whole world and that I was the most loving being he could think of. So what the heck was he talking about? He embraced me and asked me if I loved myself, and I realized that I didn't. And he told me that once I could truly love myself, I would find life on Earth not only exciting but filled with wonder and joy beyond my wildest dreams. And he was right. So I ask each of you listening tonight to begin a love affair with yourself. Love all of you. Forgive yourself for all of your less than elegant choices. You would not be the people you have come here to be, the person that you are today, without making those less than elegant choices. So love yourself, forgive yourself. And until next week, know that you are the power in your world. You're the guru you've been waiting for. And choose to become a very conscious co-creator by making more and more elegant choices. And never forget that you are powerful beyond imagination. And that you are love. You are lovable. And you truly are loved.
Well, that was beautiful. Thank you, Dorothy Lee, for the State of the Universe address. Wow, it's all about love.
It is.
And that's our show. I can't believe how quickly this goes. We truly are having fun here, and it's very exciting to be sharing this with you all on radio and on internet and on video now. We'd like to thank once again Jake Kloberdanz for being our guest, CEO of One Hope Wine. Invite you to go to our website to learn more about him. And we look forward to our guest next week, who will be April Crawford. Now, April is a channel who will be channeling Veronica. And Veronica is a group of entities who will share with us some things we could hopefully look forward to in the future of the world and give us some information and answer some of our questions. So we look forward to that next week. So join us for that. In the meantime, remember, you can keep the conversation going by visiting us on our website or finding us on Facebook, on our personal pages, on our Life Changes with Filippo fan page. You can also join us at Twitter. I am Filippo. And what else? Gosh, I mean, there's so much more. There's a YouTube page now, and we're just growing, and I can't keep up with it, and it's very exciting. And so you go to our website, and we'll have it all up there. And a lot of this is thanks to our guru marketing guy from Buzz Bros, Ken Sheets. So thank you, Ken. What can I say? Today's show has been made possible in part by our sponsors, Ionways Water Systems and Dorothy Lee and Love and Miracles. So to learn more about them, visit our sponsor page as well. I am Filippo Voltaggio, and it has been my sincere pleasure being host of Life Changes with Filippo. I, along with our segment host and producer, Dorothy Lee, and Mark Lejour, and our engineer, Seth, thank you for joining us and being part of this show and being part of the change you wish to see in the world. Ciao.
You have been listening to Life Changes. Join us here every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and visit us on the web at lifechangeswithfilippo.com. That's Filippo, Filippo. And follow our community on Facebook at Life Changes with Filippo. Join us here next week as we consciously embrace and explore the only constant, life changes.